My parents and sister booked a wellness retreat for me and my 7-year-old daughter. By day 3, I realized it was a trap. No phone. Just cameras, locked doors, and a fake diagnosis. Then I overheard a conversation. Her child will go into custody. 13 days later, they regretted it. Family is supposed to be the people you trust, even when your whole world falls apart. The ones who've known you since childhood, and stay anyway. The ones who say, "We just want what's best for you." And you believe them. Because they're family. I believed them too. My name is Nicole. I'm 37. I'm the mother of a 7-year-old girl named Sophie. My life hasn't been a fairy tale, but it wasn't a disaster either. Until recently. Jason, my ex-husband, and I split up 3 years ago. No scandals. Almost friendly. He worked in tech, then launched a startup. Things took off. Suddenly he was on local magazine covers, in 40 under 40 lists. Money. Clients. Trips. Sophie stayed with him on weekends. He wasn't a bad dad. If anything, he tried too hard sometimes. We texted about school, the dentist, her dance class. Sometimes we even laughed on the phone. It wasn't love anymore. But there was respect. And that mattered. Then he died. Car accident. Instant. I found out from the police. Then came the calls. The funeral. The tears. And then just numbness. Not all at once. But slowly I realized everything holding me together was gone. Just me. And Sophie. And silence. I tried to hold on. Got out of bed. Did her hair for school. Made oatmeal. Listened to her talk about Mrs. Harper, her teacher, whose bracelets jingle all day long. I nodded. Smiled. But inside I was breaking. "You need a break," my younger sister Allison said one morning over coffee on our parents' porch. "This isn't just burnout, Nick. You're scorched." That was Allison. No drama, just truth. Beautiful, successful, childless by choice. A condo in Bellevue and a subscription to every self-care retreat on the West Coast. A break, I repeated, almost laughing. And who's going to drive Sophie to dance? Explain why her dad doesn't call anymore. I will. Mom. Dad. We're all here. And she hesitated, then pulled a glossy brochure from her tote. There's this place. A forest center. Women's retreat. Very private. Not a clinic, nothing like that. Just care. Quiet. Solitude. Allison. You don't have to decide now. Just think about it. You can bring Sophie. It's allowed. Just the two of you. Nature. No pressure. They have therapists, art sessions, hiking trails. Like a spa. But for your mind. And it's all legal. We checked. She wasn't pushing. Not exactly. More like a sister who was tired of watching me fade into a shadow. Then Mom and Dad joined in. Honey, we're worried, Mom said, squeezing my hands. We see how hard this is for you. It's just for a couple of weeks. Sophie can be with you. It's recovery. We'll help with everything, Dad added, not quite meeting my eyes. And I said yes. Too tired to fight. Too broken to argue. The place was called Pine Shore. Deep in the Washington woods near Olympic Park. 2 hours from Seattle. One main lodge. A handful of private cabins. Wooden walkways. Pine needles. Wind in the trees. A woman named Kate met us at the entrance. She was the administrator. Her smile looked printed on. Welcome, Nicole. We've prepared everything. Sophie will be in the room next to yours. You'll have everything you need in your cabin. She took our bags and led us across a lawn. No pressure here, she said. Join the activities if you'd like. Or just rest. But I believe you'll feel the change. Most mothers do. I nodded like I was on a tour. Sophie clutched my hand, looking around curiously. Mom, is this like camp? Kind of. For grown-ups. Can we make food over a fire? There's no fire here, sweetheart. Then maybe just marshmallows? I smiled. She was here. That's what mattered. The first day was strange. We settled into the cabin. Bright. Clean. A window view of the forest. The fridge had fruit, yogurt, green bottles of juice. A little notebook on the nightstand read, My feelings today. Sophie watched cartoons on her tablet while I went to the orientation meeting. 3 other women were there, all with tired eyes. Kate led the session. Everything you share here stays here, she said. No labels. No diagnoses. This is a space for restoration, not judgment. She gave us a tour. Meditation hut. Silence trail. Aromatherapy room. It sounded like brochure fluff. But honestly, it looked cozy. We ask guests to put away their phones during this time, Kate added. It's not a rule, just an invitation. If you need it, you can request access. But we encourage a few days of full disconnection. I handed over my phone. So did the others. Mom, can I keep mine? Sophie held up her tablet. For you? Of course. The next 2 days were almost peaceful. I joined the morning walks. Sophie painted on the porch. We drank ginger tea, watched squirrels on the railing. I signed up for an art therapy session where we painted emotions in watercolor. Mine turned out completely gray. We slept in separate rooms, but hugged every night. Laughed sometimes. And for the first time in months, I slept without dreams. Without panic. On the 3rd evening, I came out to the porch and found Sophie with a new friend. A plush bear Mandy, one of the counselors, had given her. He's going to protect us, Sophie whispered. From the sad. I laughed. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling and thought, maybe Allison was right. Maybe this really was what I needed. Not pills. Not endless talking. Just being. Away from deadlines. Calendars. Chores. Even away from grief. I didn't know yet that in 2 days, everything would change. That papers had already been signed. That this wasn't recovery. It was the beginning of my disappearance. For now, I felt safe. And that was the scariest part. Sometimes pain doesn't leave. It just takes a step back, gives you a little space. A false sense of relief. Like the silence before a storm, when you're still laughing, unaware that in a moment, you won't even be able to breathe. The morning of the 4th day felt like that. I woke up to sunlight sliding across my pillow like a warm hand. Sophie was in the next room. Her door was ajar, and I could hear her shifting, yawning. Birds chirped somewhere outside. The air smelled like pine needles and something baked. Bread? Cookies? I lay there, not moving. Just letting myself exist. No thoughts. No duties. No guilt. For the first time in months, I didn't wake up with a fist in my chest, didn't automatically reach for a to-do list. My phone was still with the staff. And strangely, I liked it. By the time I made it down for breakfast, Sophie was already running down the path with other kids. Her hair was braided. Clearly one of the staff had helped. Her cheeks were pink. She waved at me. Mom, we're going on a pinecone hunt. And we're gonna make hedgehogs out of clay. Sounds amazing. I called back. Just don't lose your jacket. Kate stood by the drink table, pouring tea from a glass carafe. Ginger with rosemary, or mint with honey? Any chance there's just coffee? I tried to joke. She laughed. Only in emergencies. This stuff wakes you up just fine. We chatted about the weather and upcoming art sessions. She suggested I join a group circle about stages of loss. I almost declined. But then I thought, what if it actually helps? And surprisingly it did. There were 6 of us sitting in a circle. Different stories. One woman had lost her husband. Another her sister. Some had lost themselves. I barely spoke at first. Just listened. Then somehow I said, sometimes I feel like a glass jar filled with water and put in the freezer. From the outside I look fine. But inside I've cracked. And when it thaws I'll shatter. Silence followed. Then someone nodded. Someone cried. We didn't hug, that wasn't the practice, but I felt it. They heard me. After the session, I walked the trail of silence. A quiet path through the woods. Each step felt like an exhale. At one point, I took a wrong turn, lost the signs. Suddenly, I was facing a chain-link fence. A fence? It was mostly hidden by bushes, but I saw a chain hanging on the gate. And a weathered sign, private property. No entry. I frowned. Were the retreat's boundaries really this strict? Or was it just protection from wildlife? I turned to go, and heard footsteps. Kate. Oh, you wandered far, she said with a laugh. They're doing forestry work here, so it's temporarily off limits. Just safety protocols. Come on, I'll walk you back. Her smile was intact. Her voice warm. But something inside me pricked. Not fear exactly. Just a quiet feeling, like I'd glimpsed something I wasn't supposed to. That evening, I read Sophie a bedtime story about a dragon who was afraid of water. She laughed, curled on my bed, legs tucked under her. Mom, guess what Miss Mandy said? In a couple of days we're having separation day. Kids and adults do stuff apart. I don't want that. Separate? I asked. Yeah, so we kids can carry the light, and grown-ups can rest from responsibility. It sounds weird. Maybe it's just a game. Or a workshop. But I'm not responsibility. I'm your daughter. She said it so seriously it caught in my chest. You're my favorite girl. Always. We're a team. Even if I'm in a different cabin? What? They said if a kid is super independent, they can move to the kid's wing. But I said I didn't want that. No one's moving you anywhere while I'm here. Got it? She nodded. I just wanted to say it ahead of time. I fell asleep uneasy. And sometime in the night, I woke up thirsty and went to get water. The main house kitchen was half dark. Just a night light over the sink. I was about to leave when I heard voices, quiet, behind a thin divider. She's adjusted quickly. Not asking questions. Perfect. We'll file the first part of the paperwork tomorrow. It'll get easier after that. And the kid? We'll find a way to separate her. No need to rush. I froze. My heart climbed into my throat. Quietly, one step, then another, I backed away. I didn't know who they were talking about. But my skin knew. Back in the cabin, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. Sophie slept, arms around her teddy bear. I couldn't make logical sense of what I'd heard. Couldn't connect it to anything real. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe it was just exhaustion. But one thing was clear. I wasn't letting Sophie go to any kid's wing in the morning. Breakfast was normal. Smiles. Oatmeal with fruit. Sophie sketching on the porch. Everything was too normal. Too smooth. Then Kate brought me a letter. Balanced on a wooden tray like a menu. From your sister. We pass on personal mail. Hopefully nothing urgent. Ellison's handwriting. Steady, confident. Nick, we're so glad you're improving. Everyone here says great things about you. I know you were hesitant, but you're strong, and you'll get through this. If all goes as planned, you won't have to worry about anything anymore. Just rest. I'll handle everything. Love, Elle. I read it twice. Then a third time. In every word I felt it, not care. Not encouragement. Control. That evening, Sophie was supposed to join a kids' nature session. Mandy waited by the trail, wearing a new staff uniform. Today's nature bonding day. We're going across the ridge to build shelters. Nicole, you can relax, spa time, maybe a massage. I'm coming with her, I said. Oh, usually parents. I'm coming. We believe in letting children explore independence. I'm her mother. We locked eyes. Mandy's smile widened. Of course. If that's what you want. I walked with them to the trail fork. Sophie waved. Mom, it's fine. We'll be back soon. I nodded. But I didn't leave. I waited behind a tree until they were out of sight. Then slowly returned to the cabin. Something was changing. I could feel it on my skin. The world around me didn't feel peaceful anymore. It felt designed. And in that moment I knew. I wasn't resting. I was inside someone else's system. And it wasn't mine. I woke up to a silence that didn't feel right. Sophie usually murmurs in her sleep, kicks off blankets, gets up to find water. But that night, nothing. No creaking bed. No shifting. Just emptiness. I got up, walked to the next room. And froze. Empty bed. Teddy bear on the floor. Pillow smoothed out. Sophie, I whispered. My voice still shook. Sweetheart. No answer. I grabbed a hoodie, ran to the porch, scanning in every direction. Morning mist. Grass-scented air. No one. Just wind and faint footsteps in the distance. I sprinted to the main house and straight into Kate's office. Where is my daughter? She didn't flinch. Nicole, everything's okay. Sophie's at a morning art session by the lake. We thought a change of scenery might help. You've been doing so well, we wanted to give you a little space. You decided? Everything's under control, she said gently. She's safe. They didn't tell me. Didn't warn me. They just took her. I nodded. Mechanically. Smiled like I believed her. Walked out. Inside, I was screaming. The next 2 days passed like water through my hands. I only saw Sophie during the communal evening circle, candlelight, everyone sitting on cushions. She sat between two staffers. Waved. Smiled. But there were shadows under her eyes. I tried to approach. Someone guided me gently to my spot. You'll be able to talk after the circle, one woman whispered. This part is for silence. But afterward she vanished again. My phone still hadn't been returned. It's in the safe as you asked, they'd say. We'll bring it if needed. But you mentioned wanting full disconnection, remember? No, I didn't. They said that. I just nodded. At night, I started hearing the click. My cabin door was being locked from the outside. I tested it. No movement. During the day, it opened fine. At night, I was locked in. The windows only cracked open, never fully. Just enough to let in air. And on the ceiling, a tiny black dot. A camera. I climbed on a chair. Yep. A lens. They were watching me. This wasn't a retreat anymore. It was a trap. Everything clicked on day 5. I was walking past the admin building when I heard Ellison's voice. Just expedite it. We can't risk delays. The notary's lined up. The judge is ours. All we need is the center's report. Kate's voice followed. We've drafted it. It states Nicole shows signs of instability, depressive episodes, paranoid thinking, obsessive behavior. All within criteria. We'll back you. Good. We just need her calm until Tuesday. After that, it's done. I froze. My heart slammed into my ribs. Tuesday. A deadline. They were trying to have me declared unfit. It wasn't speculation. It was a plan. Day 6, Ellison came to visit. Smiling. Hugged me too tightly. Nick, you look fresh. She sat across from me, fixing her collar. Better. Thanks for coming. I sounded calm. Casual. Like I trusted her. On my wrist, my usual plastic watch. Sophie's gift. Cheap, but with a hidden feature, one button. Recording. I pressed it. The conversation ran 20 minutes. Weather. Chamomile. Sophie's progress. I smiled. Nodded. Played along. Then she stood. I'll go chat with Kate, just a quick thing about your program. Okay. Of course, I said. And followed. I stayed in the shadows outside. Pretended to admire the trees. The watch was recording. She's ready, Ellison said. Consent will be backdated. The therapist's on board. As long as she doesn't see a lawyer before Wednesday, we're fine. We'll get the decision quickly, Kate replied. Child goes into temporary custody. It's standard procedure. Perfect. I've got everything on a flash drive. I barely breathed. Sophie. Custody. It was already done. I went back to my cabin, closed the door, and broke down. They were going to take my daughter. Legally. With papers. With stamps. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. So I sat down, picked up the center's journaling notebook, my feelings today. Today, fury. Fear. Resolve. I won't break. I wiped my face, grabbed paper. A pen. Sophie, I'm coming back. Mom's here. Don't be afraid. Just wait. We'll run. I promise. I folded it into the teddy Mandy had given her. Sewed it into the paw. By day 8, I was someone else. In workshops, I smiled. Nodded. Yes, I feel better. Yes, breathing exercises help. Yes, I trust the process. They bought it. At night, I studied the grounds. Tried on shoes. Counted steps from my cabin to the garden shed near the back gate. No cameras there. Just a door. And beyond it, the forest. 2 hours through the woods. Then a road. That's what they'd said during check-in. I planned my escape. On day 10, I spotted Sophie during a brief walk. Mandy held her hand. I approached. Mom. She ran to me. I hugged her tight and whispered. Remember, I'm close. It's okay. We're leaving soon. She nodded. Her eyes understood. Day 12. I woke at 4 a.m. Sat up. Raised my wrist. The watch was still there. I pressed the button. My name is Nicole. I'm at Pine Shore Retreat. I'm being held against my will. They're trying to declare me unfit to take custody of my daughter. Everything I'm saying is true. I have evidence. Silence. This was the last message. If they caught me, someone had to hear it. Day 13. I skipped breakfast. Packed a small backpack. Some food. A water bottle. Pocket knife. Bandage. Anything I could find. Left the door ajar. Arranged the sheets to look like I was still sleeping. Then slipped out the bathroom window. Squeezed through. Ran along the fence. The gate was unlocked. I paused for a second. Mist rolled over the path. A bird cried somewhere above. I'm coming, Sophie. And I stepped into the trees. Into the unknown. Into freedom. I walked fast, almost ran. My heart thudded in my throat, but I didn't look back. Just forward. Through the trees, over dewy grass, brushing past blackberry brambles that clawed at my pants. Mist lay low on the ground, a silver veil hiding everything but the path ahead. I didn't know exactly where I was going, only where I was running from. From the place where they took my daughter. Where they locked me in at night. Where they smiled into my face while signing papers to strip me of everything. The first hour I followed the path I remembered from orientation day. Then the path disappeared, just trees, roots like snakes underfoot. I tripped twice, once falling to my knees and scraping my palm, but I didn't stop. My backpack bounced on my spine, shoulders ached, throat dry. I took a few sips of water. Just enough. In the second hour, I heard a sound, soft at first, growing louder. A car? I froze. No, not a car. Water. A river. I moved toward it. Found a stream. Not wide, but fast. Knee-deep, slippery rocks. I crossed, hugging my backpack to my chest like a tightrope walker. My boots filled with water. But I made it. By hour 3, I collapsed onto a fallen log. No strength left. My legs hummed with pain. Mud caked under my nails. An elbow scraped raw. I bit my lip to stop the tears. Not now. Not here. I pulled out my watch. Pressed the button. My voice shook. My name is Nicole. I escaped from the center where I was being held. I have evidence. If you're hearing this, I'm still alive. Then I walked on. When I saw the break in the trees, my heart skipped. Asphalt. A road. I stood there, staring in disbelief. A narrow, winding road like a thread back to life. It took maybe 10 minutes before a car appeared. Old. Dented bumper. A sticker on the windshield. Rescue animals don't shop. I stepped into the middle of the road, raised my hand. The car slowed. Stopped. Behind the wheel, a woman around 50, gray streaks in her hair, tired eyes. Oh my God! She rolled down the window. Are you okay? I nodded and swayed. She jumped out, caught me by the arms. Get in. Come on. I'll take you to the station. Are you hurt? No. Just tired. You ran. I looked at her. Yes. She nodded. Okay. Then we're not going back there. Hold on. She handed me a thermos. Hot tea. I sipped and burst into tears. We drove in silence. Her name, I later learned, was Janet. As we bounced over curves, she called someone on speaker. Al, I've got a girl here. Says she ran from a retreat. Says they held her, and the kid's in danger. Yeah, bringing her to the station. Now. The police station was tiny. Rural. Flag out front. A snack machine humming by the wall. They gave me a blanket. Water. A room to sit. A female officer. I told her everything. From the first day to the escape. No panic. Just facts. I have a recording, I said, taking off the watch. It's all here. Conversations with my sister. With the staff. They took the watch. Downloaded the files. Half an hour later, a gray-haired sergeant walked in. Sharp eyes. We listened. This is serious. We're contacting the district attorney. First, we need to make sure you and your daughter are safe. Will you confirm everything under oath? I will. They registered me as a complainant. Issued an emergency protection order. Called a duty attorney and a child services rep. I slept that night in the break room. On a cot, under a stranger's blanket. A cop sat by the door, not to guard me, but to guard against anyone coming in. I woke at 5. Foggy head. Bitter mouth. But my heartbeat was steady. Was I safe? Not yet. But maybe almost. At 7 the attorney arrived. Young. Wore jeans and a hoodie. Tablet in hand. I'm Marissa Clark. I'll represent you until you hire someone long-term. We're filing for emergency intervention. If we're lucky, we can get a temporary stop on all custody proceedings. We'll need your testimony again. Submit the recordings. You'll also get an independent psych evaluation. It's going to move fast. I nodded. Every word was air. Sophie, my daughter. She's still there. We'll alert child services. If she's being held without your legal consent, they're obligated to act. At 9, the phone rang. The center reported Nicole missing. Requested a welfare search, the sergeant said. He glanced at me. But we've already looped in the DA's office. A preliminary investigation has begun. They'll say I ran because I'm unstable, I said. And we've got the recordings, Marissa replied. And your sworn statement. We can work with that. I pulled out the notebook. My feelings today. And wrote. Today, freedom. Pain. The beginning. Sophie, I'm coming. And no one is going to stop me. I sat in the interview room, on a hard plastic chair, hands wrapped around a mug of coffee that had long gone cold. No cameras. Just a single lamp above, its light flickering like a tired heartbeat. But for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel afraid. I was in a real police station. With real people. Badges. Forms. Laws. And it seemed, finally, someone was listening. Miss Slater? A man in a slate-gray shirt appeared in the doorway. Detective Harris. May I? I nodded. We've looked over the initial report. Pine Shore Center. Escape. Allegation of child abduction and falsified medical evaluations. It's a complicated situation. It's not a situation, I said. It's my life. My daughter was held without my consent. They tried to declare me unfit to take away my rights. That place isn't a retreat. It's a trap. He sat down slowly across from me. You understand how this sounds? Of course. I'd expected that. Still, his tone made my chest tighten, like he was still weighing whether I was delusional. I understand, I said. But I have proof. Here. I placed the watch on the table. Plain gray. Cheap. Childlike. He looked at it. That's a recorder. It has audio of my sister and the center director discussing the plan. You recorded them intentionally? Yes. He nodded, picked up the watch carefully. A woman entered then, mid-40s, glasses, folder and notepad in hand. Linda Foster, Department of Child and Family Services, she said. I got the emergency call. You're claiming your daughter was held at the center without your consent. Yes. And I didn't see her for days. They wouldn't tell me where she was. At night, they locked me in from the outside. Cameras in the bedroom. No phone. I was completely isolated. Do you know where your daughter is now? I shook my head. My chest squeezed tight. No. I hope she's with child services. Or somewhere safe. But the last time I saw her was on a walk. Day 10 of my stay. And you escaped on day 13, correct? I nodded. Linda jotted notes down quickly. We'll have to place Sophie under temporary protective custody, she said gently. Until we can investigate fully. And, I'm sorry, I must say this, until your mental state is confirmed by an independent assessment. I flinched. So, until I prove I'm not crazy, I don't get to see my daughter? Her voice was calm, but firm. I know how it sounds. But right now we have only your word. We need an impartial evaluation. The door opened again. Nicole, a man in a tailored suit and a neatly trimmed beard, stepped in. Thomas Wrigley. I'm your attorney. Lambert sent me, he said, and I quote, "She's sharp, get her out. So let's get started." He slid into the chair beside me, laying out a file. You have a recording? Perfect. And, he glanced at Linda, we consent to an emergency psychiatric evaluation. But it must be independent. We'll file the motion ourselves. An hour later, they took me to a clinic in town. Clean, quiet. No guards. Just a doctor's office. The psychiatrist was a woman around 40, curly hair, kind but sharp eyes. Nicole, can you tell me how you ended up at the center? So I told her. Everything. About Allison. The restorative trip. How perfect it looked, until reality started to fracture. She didn't interrupt. Occasionally asked questions but never doubted me. No sideways glances. No pitying hms. Do you feel like someone is watching you right now? She asked near the end. I smiled, tired. For the first time in a long time? No. She nodded. You're coherent. No signs of delusion. You do have PTSD symptoms, but that's expected. Nicole, you're of sound mind. And you're remarkably strong. The next morning, Thomas returned. I've got news, he said. First, the psych eval is in. You're cleared. Completely competent. Second, we reviewed your recording. He placed a printout in front of me. Your sister is caught on tape discussing falsifying documents with the center's director. They name the judge. And there's a clear instruction to keep you away from legal counsel until Wednesday. That's damning. I sat in silence. The words echoed in my head. He continued. We've filed a motion, temporary restraining order against Allison. The judge is reviewing it within 24 hours. We also submitted a petition to suspend the center's license and initiate a criminal probe for coercion and unlawful detention. And Sophie? She's in a temporary foster shelter under CPS supervision. No formal interview yet, just a brief wellness chat. She told them, quote, Mom tried to save me. That's all she said. Can I see her? He nodded. I arranged a visit. Observation room, CPS supervisor present. But yes, you'll be allowed to speak with her. They brought me to a small, gray-walled room. A table. 2 chairs. Through a door I heard footsteps. Then she entered. Small. Tired. But the second she saw me, her face lit up. Mom! She ran to me. I caught her, held her tight as tears poured down. Mommy's here, I whispered, burying my face in her hair. It's okay. I'm back. I knew it, she whispered. I waited. I found your note. Under the paw. I held her tighter. We're never going to be apart again. I promise. A month had passed. I'd gone through the psychiatric evaluation. Sat through what felt like endless interviews with detectives, social workers, and investigators. And Sophie was back with me. And now it was the day of the hearing. The courtroom was cool despite the warmth outside. I sat at the front beside Thomas, my attorney. My hands rested on my lap, but Sophie's small fingers were wrapped around mine, firm and steady. Like the night I came back for her. She wore her favorite light blue dress. She said she wanted to look brave. I didn't argue. Because she was brave. When they brought Allison in, handcuffed, something icy passed through my spine. It wasn't fear. It was clarity. She was still my sister. The one I grew up with. Birthday parties. Blanket forts. Whispers in the dark. And yet, she tried to steal my daughter. My life. The judge read the charges in a voice that was calm, almost clinical. conspiracy, medical fraud, attempted involuntary psychiatric commitment, custodial interference, identity theft, illegal access to private health and financial records. It sounded like the plot of a crime show. But it was my life. Allison never looked at me. Not during the trial. Not during the investigation. She tried to claim it was all out of concern. That I was depressed. That I didn't know what I wanted. But my cheap little gray watch knew better. It had heard everything. The court listened to the audio recording I'd made before escaping. They heard her on the veranda. They heard me alone in the dark, leaving a message in case I didn't make it. Even the prosecutor seemed rattled when my voice echoed in the courtroom. My name is Nicole Slater. I'm being held at Pine Shore Center. Then they brought in Kate. Gone was the flawless makeup, the rehearsed smile. She wore a simple shirt and looked hollowed out. Her lawyer asked for leniency, said she hadn't known the full story, had just followed orders. But the audio told another truth. Her voice firm and smooth. We'll cover you. It's all in protocol. My parents sat quietly on the bench. I never pushed for charges against them. But the prosecution deemed their silence and cooperation as complicity. The emails between them and Allison painted the picture clearly. They knew. They condoned it. For the sake of the child, they had said. When the judge began the sentencing, the room felt like it stopped breathing. Allison Lawrence, 4 years of incarceration, with eligibility for parole after 2.5. Termination of parental rights. 10-year prohibition from seeking guardianship. I closed my eyes. Not in victory. In exhaustion. Kate Morris, 2 years incarceration. $100,000 fine. Permanent revocation of medical license. Thomas and Linda Lawrence, 12 months suspended sentence. Community service. Barred from contact with their granddaughter and prohibited from influencing her upbringing. My parents didn't cry. But I saw my father's head drop, my mother's gaze fixed on nothing. Pine Shore Center had its license revoked. Shut down completely. A few employees filed lawsuits. Some claimed they'd been kept in the dark. Others knew too much. Sophie and I went home. At first, the silence in the house was too loud. I kept expecting a knock, a summons, a new accusation. I found myself staring through windows, waiting for something. Nothing came. I started seeing a therapist. Not because I was unstable, but because I wanted to heal. Honestly. Without judgment. Without worksheets titled, "How do I feel today?" Just real healing. Sophie went back to school. It took time. She still woke in the night sometimes, eyes searching for me in the dark. I'd just take her hand. Stay with her. Every time. One evening on the porch, she asked, "Mom, were you ever scared?" Her voice was quiet. Her eyes serious. "Yes," I said. "I was scared I'd lose you. I was scared I couldn't make it. But you know what I did?" She shook her head. I kept going. Even when it was terrifying. Even when it felt like there was no way out. I just kept going. Because you were there. She nodded. Then wrapped her arms around me. Tight. Sometimes on the most normal days, buying groceries, baking cookies, I find myself choking up. Not from grief. From relief. Because we survived. Because we're together. Because nothing could break what we have. The day I received the official documents, full restoration of my rights, confirmation of guardianship, financial restitution, I looked at the signatures, the seals. I thought, this is the end. But Sophie said, "It's the beginning, Mom." And she was right. Justice isn't about revenge. It isn't about watching your abusers cry. It's about getting your life back. About standing tall in the mirror and saying, "I made it. We won." Thank you for staying with me until the very end. If Hannah and Sophie's story moved you, if you believe that even in the darkest moments there's a way out, please like, subscribe, and share this story. Your support is the spark that helps light the way for others. And now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever faced a betrayal that changed everything? Tell your story in the comments below. Sometimes words can save more than you think.